The Project Manager. It's the very first thing you see every time you open up DaVinci Resolve, and if you're anything like me, you probably just whiz right past it. But it does some really useful stuff that's worth knowing, so here's all the essentials. Welcome everyone to 5 Minute Fridays, weekly DaVinci Resolve tutorials for beginners that are almost never only 5 minutes, brought to you by Audio. So first up, the basics. DaVinci Resolve uses a database, also known as a project library, to store all of your projects. No media is stored within either your projects or your libraries. Resolve simply links to the media on your device. There are 3 types of libraries available within DaVinci Resolve. Local, where everything is stored locally on your machine. Network libraries for use on a LAN. And cloud libraries where all of your projects are stored up in the cloud. The Project Manager will open up every single time you boot into DaVinci Resolve, but you can also get back to it at any time by simply clicking on the house icon in the bottom right-hand corner. Simple. Creating, detaching, and restoring. You can have as many different libraries as you like, each containing their own projects. So I've got these projects here. These are contained within a project library called Local Database, but I also have a project library called Demo, with its own separate projects. Having multiple libraries can be handy to just help you stay organized. Just remember that things like power bins or power grades, which are generally shared between projects, aren't shared between libraries. To create a new library, from the Project Manager, we simply click on Add Project Library. We give it a name. We then choose the location where we want the project library to be stored, and then we simply hit Create. And that will create a new project library for us to use. Easy peasy. It's also worth knowing that you can simply detach and then reattach these libraries at any point. So I've got this demo library here. If I right click, I've got the option to remove. It'll then ask us if we want to disconnect or don't disconnect. I'm going to hit disconnect, and that's going to detach our project library. Now this hasn't deleted that project library, it simply detached it from our DaVinci Resolve installation. To restore it, all we would do is click Add Project Library from the bottom once again, but this time we're going to go to Connect at the top. We'll call this Demo, and then we'll go to Browse, and I just need to browse to the location, which is this project library number 2 here. We'll just open this up, and then select Folder, Connect. And now my demo is back, and you can see I have my demonstration project within. Job done. You can detach the projects and move them to a different machine if you need to. Alternatively, back up and restore. Backing up your libraries is a good way to keep your projects safe just in case the worst was to happen. It's recommended you do this every couple of months. It's also recommended that you do this just before applying one of the DaVinci Resolve upgrades. It's also, as mentioned, a great way of moving a library over to a different device. Unfortunately, backing up is super quick and easy. From the Project Manager, we're simply going to go to any of the projects we want to back up. So I'm going to go to the little I on my local database, and then there's a button here for backup. We'll give that a click. We choose the location we want the backup, so I'm just going to go with that folder there and hit save. It's going to say this operation may take some time depending on the size of your project library. We'll hit backup, and there we go. The project library has backed up successfully. It shouldn't take too long, and the project file shouldn't be too big. It will depend on how big your project library is. But just remember, it doesn't actually contain any of the media, so it won't be terabytes in size. So you can then put that project backup up onto one of your cloud storage, your G drive, or whatever, to make sure that it's safe. If you ever then need to restore a backup, again, super quick and easy. From the Project Manager, once again, we've got this icon. This is Restore. We're going to give that a click, and then we simply need to browse to the backup file. We're going to use this one. How did that get there? It'll ask us to give this new restored backup a name. So let's just go with this. And then we need to choose the location where this restore is going to happen. So where the actual project library is going to be restored to. So I'm just going to go with my D drive. Then we're going to hit create. It's going to say this may take some time depending on the size. Hit restore. And there it is. That has been restored successfully. Next, let's start talking about some of the projects themselves and how you can stay organized and see some additional information. So you can actually show some more information on the Project Manager screen than is there by default. So here's how it probably looks on your screen. If you click on this icon at the top, information, you can see some slightly more useful information. So we've got the number of timelines, we have the resolution, and when it was last modified. If you need to see even more information, at the top right, you've got this icon here, which will show your projects in a list view. And from here, you can see name, last modified, timelines, format, frame rate, date created, and there's even a handy little notes column. You can toggle these on and off by right-clicking the column heading and ticking the boxes as required. If you want to leave yourself a note, open up one of the projects, click on File, then go to Project Notes, and from here, you can leave yourself some handy notes about the project or just some positive affirmations if you prefer. Yeah. Next up, add folders. To help you stay organized within your individual libraries, you can add folders for your projects. So from this screen here, you can either click on this icon in the top to add a folder, or alternatively right-click any empty space. There's an option to add a new folder, give it a name, hit create, and there you go, you've got a brand new folder. If we double-click to open it up, and then to get back, you've got this little address bar at the top. We can just click on projects to go back to the main project's home folder. If we want to insert one of our existing projects into that folder, we can simply click, drag, drop it in there, open that up, and there we go. Now, a quick heads up, you can't actually drag them back out. So instead, all you need to do, right click on the project, go to cut, or you can use the shortcut Control X, go back to the main, we'll right click and then paste, or we can hit Control V and we can just paste that out of there like so. Easy peasy. On a very similar note, you can copy and paste projects. So same thing, right click any project and we can go to copy and then right click an empty space and we've got the option to paste, or alternatively you can use the keyboard shortcuts of Control C to copy and Control V to paste. Alternatively, there's also this button up here. So if we select the project, then we click this button, there's an option to copy to. Now this is really handy because we can copy the project to the local libraries, a network library, or a cloud library. We can then choose the project library we want this one to be copied to. So let's just go to demo. We can then also choose the folder we want it to be copied to, and then we simply hit copy. And that's going to copy that straight over to our other project library. Boom, easy. Next up, we've got open as read only. This is super handy if you've got an existing project you want to open up and use as a kind of a template for a new project. You can open the old one up as read only, and then you can't physically overwrite it. So all we do from the project manager, right click on the project you want to use as your kind of template, and we're going to open in read only mode. That's going to jump into the project and we're going to have all of our folders, all of our bins, timelines, media, everything we need. But then if we were to hit save, it wouldn't save and overwrite that project. Instead, it's going to ask us to give it a name. We'll just give this a brand new name and hit save. And now we have a brand new project. Handy indeed. On a similar note, you can actually you can steal the project settings from an existing project into a brand new project. Again, this is quite handy if you've just started a project and you go, ooh, I can't be bothered to set all of my settings. I'm just going to steal them from the last project I did. So from the project manager, let's just do a new project. And then if we go to the project settings, let's say that this was set to something strange, like so. We'll save that. If I wanted to pull the settings from an existing project, we would then open up the project manager from our little house icon. Let's go to this one over here. We'll right click and there's an option to load the project settings to the current project. It'll then ask us if we want to overwrite. We do. And then we can close that down. And within this new demo project, if we open up the project settings, you can see we're now set to 1080p and 24 frames because that's what we've stolen from the previous one. Dynamic project switching. Dynamic project switching allows you to really quickly jump back and forth between multiple projects. This again can be a nice handy way of jumping between the two, copying something from one and pasting it into another. It's quite a handy thing to be able to do. To enable this, you simply right click anywhere within an empty space on the project manager and you enable the dynamic project switching. Then we can just open a few projects. So we've already got this demo one open. So we're also going to open up this one over here. And now at the very top, we've got this AI vid. This is the name of this project. If we click the little drop down, you can see we also now have demo. So this is the other project we have open. and we can simply click that to switch between the two. If we open up the project manager, the projects that we have open have this little tick in the top left hand corner, so we can see which ones we have open. If we open up a third one, again, from the little drop down, we can quickly switch between any of the three. If we want to close one of the projects down, we can go to File, come down to Close Project, and then we can close down the demo. And now we only have these two open once again. Next up, backup and restore projects. Sometimes you need to do a real quick backup of a particular project rather than the entire library, maybe just to keep it secure or to be able to send it over to someone else. Again, takes 2 seconds. From the project manager, select the project you want to back up, make sure it's highlighted like so. You can either then use these export and import buttons in the bottom left-hand corner, or we can right-click and there's an option to export the project. If we give that a click, it's simply going to ask us where do we want to save this to. So I'm just going to dump it in that folder there. Then if I was to delete this, and then we're going to go back to import, we can see we have the DRP, which is the DaVinci Resolve project file. We can open that up and we've just imported that project back in. Simple. Project archives, or DRA files, allow you to back up not only the project itself, but all of the media contained within that project. Again, this is really useful if you want to send the entire thing over to someone else. All you do simply is right-click on the project, and there's an option to export a project archive. Once again, pick your location and hit save. It's then going to ask what you want to archive. Generally speaking, you're only going to want to archive the media files. Including the proxy media and the render cache is going to balloon the size of this to something ridiculous, so I will nearly always only ever include the media files itself. Then we'll simply click OK. That's going to make a backup of that project file, same as before, but it's also then going to copy all of the actual media files to that DRA as well. So then if we were to copy that over to a new device, let's pretend this is a brand new PC, we can right click and then we go to Restore Project Archive. And then you want to find that DRA folder. Now, a super important thing here, you don't actually want to drill into this folder. You actually want to select this top level DRA and then simply hit open. And that will restore the project and automatically make sure that all of the media within is completely linked. So then, once you open it up, you don't need to relink anything. You just jump into the project and you're all good to go. And that's it. That's pretty much everything I think you need to know about getting started in DaVinci Resolve and understanding the project manager screen. I told you this wasn't going to be 5 minutes. It's much, much longer, but hopefully you found it useful. Let me know your thoughts, comments, feelings down below. Thanks ever so much for watching. Take it easy. I'll see you next time.